Welcome to today's workshop on creating a calm agency and my process of going through the pitfalls and recovering and growing my agency to 75K a month and then some as well. And today's workshop, I'm going to be focusing on the path and the journey and why I believe AI isn't the only thing you need in 2026 if you're serving clients. So just make sure you're in the right place. I'm talking right now to agency owners and freelancers. I'm going to be sharing my journey and insights, giving you the frameworks and giving you something to take away to create your own plan, to create calm in 2026. I think 2025 impacted pretty much everyone, especially small businesses, in terms of lead generation, in terms of quality of prospects coming through, what the prospects wanted from us as well. And we talk about AI and what we are doing with it as well. Our prospects, our clients are also using it, and we need to show that we are ahead and be able to lead them as well. How I created a calm 75K a month ad agency. Now, why did I pick 75K? That was a tipping point for me, and I'll explain some of that shortly as well. But one of the things I realized is in order to grow, I didn't need more clients. I didn't need a bigger team, and I didn't need to burn myself out. And I'm going to talk about some of the harder lessons that I went through as well that I want you to avoid, because a lot of this is when someone's walked the path that you're walking, they can tell you what's coming up. I give the analogy of a snakes and ladders board. So hopefully all of you understand what snakes and ladders is, and you played it as a kid, maybe as an adult as well. But essentially, you have 100 blocks and you're going left to right, climbing up, rolling the dice, working your way up the board. Sometimes you come across a ladder that helps you to climb up even faster. If you start at block number 1, you roll a 6 on the dice, or maybe whatever number it is, you go to block number 7, you might get a ladder. And that ladder takes you to block number 20, for example. So you just bypassed a huge part of the board. But at the same time, you might also hit a snake. The snake will take you down some blocks. So maybe you're on block 50 and you've got a big snake that's taking you down back to block 21. I don't know. That's how I see growth, any business growth, but certainly from my experience of growing my agency, that's what it's felt like. And honestly, those snakes and those ladders, they continue to pop up. Like, I've been running my agency now for 9 years. I still come across these snakes. Sometimes they're smaller. Sometimes the setbacks are not as big as they were before. Sometimes they are big, and anything can cause disruption. It could be a prospect that didn't close that you really needed. It could be a client that you thought was client for life, and suddenly they've emailed you to say, hey, we're going to end our relationship now. Or it could be a team member that's let you down, or maybe the tech has failed. Maybe the client results have, there's just so many things that can go wrong. And this impacts agencies, freelancers of all levels. And I can tell you this is a fact. It's okay. It's okay to come across these snakes, because those ladders are there as well. And hopefully today is one of your ladders. So in 2019, I finally broke the 6-figure month. I did it twice. So up until this point, we hadn't actually done 6 figures. So 2017, we were selling agency services like 2K to run your ads a month, 3K to run your ads, things like that. And you cap out very quickly, especially when you're just on your own. You can't really, and I say this as a piece of advice, you can't really run more than 5 or 6 clients on your own. If you've got more than that, you need help, unless you're doing kind of light touch works. I'm talking about ads management. If you're running ads for a client and you've got more than 5 or 6 clients on your own as a freelancer, you're going to have to decide at some point, do I hire? And now you become effectively an agency owner, or do I reduce my client count because I need more time? Because if you are running 5 to 6 clients, you're running out of time as well for yourself. So by 2019, we'd hit 6 figures in April and September. And this became a framework for us to realize what success really looked like for us as well. But I didn't get there by climbing up lots of ladders. I actually hit so many snakes to get there as well. Me and my business broke before we got there. And I thought that growth meant certain things. So for example, my mindset was, and maybe I followed Gary Vaynerchuk a bit too much, but for me, it was like the hustle and the grind is going to generate more money and more profit, and it's the right thing to do. I was working 10 to 12 hours days or more because I felt like the more time I put in, the quicker I'm going to get to this plateau of everything's just great. I didn't actually know what that greatness looked like, but I just felt like putting in more hours was the thing to do. I also felt as I was hiring people, I would reduce my own take home from the business, and I actually stopped paying myself. I was starting to dip into savings because my thought process was, if I put all of the profits, like not just after I've been paid, like all of the profits back into business growth, that was the right thing to do. I also felt I didn't have time to go to the gym. I was also junk eating late at night just to keep my energy levels high, to respond to those emails, to do that report, to do that analysis, to look at those leads. One of the hardest things I think as a freelancer is you're managing so much on your own. We're talking about marketing, talking about lead generation, nurturing, closing, email conversations, client onboarding, client management, finances, P&Ls, taxes. Freelancing is probably the most scariest part for me. I was freelancing between 2014 and 2017. It was very hard. And also, you're more on the edge than as an agency because you don't really have the help. Technically, freelancer, you're doing everything yourself. And you're at the mercy of the clients you've got. And if you lose, let's say suddenly 2 or 3 clients just ended up going, either they're not happy or they are happy and they need to move on. Now you're panicking because now you need to go back into lead gen and marketing, and it's just a constant struggle. And I let my health suffer. I know I put on weight. My muscles started to disappear. I started to get neck pain and back pain and things like that. I didn't link it to the time to just not working out. I was also watching others succeed, and I just felt like I was working too slow. I got caught up in the ClickFunnels community. Now, Russell Brunson's great. I'm a huge fan, but I got caught up in other people's success. I was seeing other people hit 6-figure months, $1 million years, $5 million years, $10 million years. And I was thinking, like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not already there? What do I need to do to get there? And I was caught up chasing other people's dreams, and that stopped me from actually realizing my own. And to solve all of that, I went into this process of, I just need more clients. That's going to solve everything. I just need more clients. They're going to enable me to hire more people, to get more profit, et cetera, et cetera. I was wrong on all of those counts. If you look at a typical journey from freelancer to agency, and the path failure I'm showing you here is where I failed as well. So you start off with getting clients. Your time and income gets capped very quickly as well. So then you have a decision to make. I decided to hire help. What I didn't realize is when you hire help, now you need to do people management, because my first hire was a VA, an assistant. Second hire was a media buyer. Then I got an account manager. Then I got a salesperson and things like that. All of a sudden, it's gone from me just doing everything to now having a team of 5 people. Guess what? Someone needs to onboard them and train them and check in on them and support them and things like that. So if you think about it, the logic doesn't make sense. I was already maxed out on time. I didn't have free time. Yeah, I've gone and hired quickly all these people because I had the money coming in. I didn't enable more time. I actually lost. I had to invest more time than I had available. So if I was doing 10 to 12 hour days, now it had to be 11 to 13 or 12 to 14 hour days, because that I wasn't magically freeing up time. Then I figured out that my finances were a mess because I wasn't tracking the detail that I should have been. So for example, when you talk about hiring a team, you now need to start looking at utilization. So if one person has 100% capacity, how much are you actually using them? Then if you look at who's assigned to what client, if a client like at the time is paying us $3,000 a month, where is that $3,000 going? How much is going to the team? How much is going on software, on other freelancers that were working on the account? Maybe I have a designer, a copywriter. Before I knew it, we were actually not making much money per client. And that kind of scared me as well. Then what you realize is you start to drop the ball on your client results because you're so worried about finances. You're so worried about your team and hiring and things like that. And you sink more and more hours into the business without return. And this is my journey. And some of you might relate. If you haven't come across this and you've absolutely aced it, that's amazing. I can tell you this because I work with so many freelancers and agencies. This is actually quite a typical problem. Then I realized something through all of this, and I hated it as well. 2 years into growing my business, and 2018 started to stabilize and I started to figure things out, I realized something that concerned me. One of the reasons I started my own business in 2017 was I wanted freedom. I wanted time freedom. I wanted cash freedom. I wanted a business I could just run and it would do stuff and bring in money and I could check the bank account and all things great. The reality was I couldn't step away from my business at all. And I'm talking about weekends as well as weekdays. I didn't feel like I owned a business. I felt like it was a full-time job. Because if you think about it, in fact, it's probably worse than a full-time job. Because at least with a full-time job, you have defined hours, let's say 9 to 5, and you get a salary. Regardless of how the business performs, you get a salary. If the business doesn't perform, obviously you get fired. But you get a stable income, and you don't really have to worry about where the money's coming from. You just get paid to do the job. At this stage in 2018, I couldn't leave my business. Revenue's always fluctuating. It's just a natural part of running a business. And because we didn't have enough profitability, every client that left, every team member that caused a problem or we had something to resolve just disrupted my flow. And it was very hard to actually run a successful business. But 2019 changed all of that. And that's why I focused so heavily on that for me, because it took 2 years to realize what good looked like and to realize the goal I was chasing wasn't the goal that I really wanted. I didn't need or want a $5 million or $10 million a year business. I just wanted a business that could operate without me. And that actually happened in 2019. So from December 2018 all the way through to I think July or August, maybe even September of 2019, before my youngest kid was born, I was traveling every single month to a different country. I was either speaking on stage, I was hosting a mastermind, I was attending events. Every single month, I was away from the business for at least 1 week. And in that week, sure, I had my laptop and Wi-Fi and I could check in and things, but the business didn't need me. In fact, I think it was in San Francisco, May 2019. I was there for about 2 weeks because I was invited out there for a Facebook event. I also hosted a mastermind there as well and did some touring and things like that. It was really uncomfortable because the business did not need me at all. The team were running client accounts. I had someone looking after marketing and lead gen, and someone was taking calls. We had someone looking after the finance. It was uncomfortable, but in a good way. And I really want you to experience that, because when all of a sudden your business is doing that, it's bringing in the money and it's not asking you for time, it's a brilliantly uncomfortable position to be. And that's why 2019 means so much to me, because I woke up to what was my goal and what was important for me as well. So here's your wake-up call. If you cannot step away from your business for 14 days, I'm talking about 2 weeks here. You can't step away for 2 weeks without fear. You're not running a business. You too have a full-time job. And that's the reason why I want to emphasize this is when I talk about creating a calm agency, there are many facets of it, but one of the most important things is you. If you are living in constant fear for leads, for clients, for team members, for revenue, for tax, and all of those things are occupying your mind, you don't have the freedom that you deserve. I didn't have the freedom I wanted until I figured out that I don't want a business that's a full-time job. I want a business that I can construct. If you think about a lot of these business owners that are multimillionaires and billionaires, they're not sitting there day-to-day managing teams and things like that. They have people and processes, and now with AI technology looking after things. And that's the big opportunity of 2026, is to have a business that's using AI, using technology and automations, but is built around your needs for freedom. All of us want this. Like, I'm pretty sure, and you can disagree with me if you want, you can type it into the comments. I don't think anyone started their business because you wake up on a Monday morning so excited to serve clients that there's nothing else you'd want to do in the entire world. Just be truthful here. If you're running your business right now, you have a bigger goal. It could be that the money from the business will enable you to do something else. It could be that you want freedom and flexibility, so you get time to do your yoga, meet with friends, go traveling and things like that. They're your real goals. Your goal in life is not just to serve clients. Like, that's not why you exist. That's not why your business exists. Your business exists for core goals that you have. So it's really important that you identify that first of all as well. So here's the good news. I figured out the formula for myself, and then I trained nearly 100 agency owners and freelancers on it to build a business that works for them and their core goals, and to build towards their bigger goals in life. And now the advantage that you and I have is that with AI, these transformations are faster and easier than ever before. And I rebuilt my agency model completely on this. Where my North Star metric used to be revenue, and I wanted to hit 6 figures and 7 figures and 8 figures, that's no longer my target. My target right now is health and happiness. It's the only thing that matters to me. As a result of me being healthy and happy, money, revenue, wealth, that becomes an offshoot of that. So as long as I'm in a good place, my business is going to go in a good place, the revenue's in a good place, and everything else just filters through down that pyramid. But at the top of that pyramid is me, just like it is for you right now. If you're not healthy and happy, and happiness can be whatever it means to you, then you're not going to perform at your best. Neither will your business. Your clients will feel that as well. So will your team, and it all cascades down as well. And I'm no longer chasing growth just to compare myself to others. I'd be honest, at some point I wanted awards and recognition and going on stage. I did all that, and then I realized this is not so as glamorous as I thought it was. It's a check mark. It's a milestone. You move on. But at the end of it, things that matter are me spending time with my kids, me going to the mountains, me going for a drive, me racing my car, traveling, meeting people, going to events, things like that. They mean more to me than chasing other people's dreams. And I wanted to create a business that was built around my lifestyle. So I actually started to define what that meant, and that meant everything else was built around it as well. So the question to ask yourself right now is, what amount of profit do you actually want? So you're in business to make money. At the end of the day, the money is there for something. Pay off a debt, buy a house, buy a car, invest in something else, whatever it ends up being. What are you willing to sacrifice for that? Now, I sacrifice my time and my health. And they're the things that you cannot absolutely, they're not for negotiation, because time you can never, ever get back. I know that as a fact because I left the 9-to-5 and freelancing and contracting because I wanted more time with my kids. Guess what? 2017, 2018, I spent less time with my kids than I actually wanted. It was only in 2019 onwards that I figured it out, that I figured out the formula. And I actually built something where I can actually, even to this day, fit my business around my kids. Like, for example, I'm doing this workshop at 10 o'clock in the morning. I've already seen off my kids to school. I'll also go and pick them up at 3 p.m. I'll make sure my afternoon's free for them, and then I can work around it. I'm flexible. My business is secondary to what I want in life. So here's the harsh truth about the next steps. A lot of you will be thinking about AI. A lot of you want to be using AI. A lot of you are already using it as well. AI will make stable businesses better, and it will crush unstable businesses. I've seen that through 2025, where people have introduced AI into the businesses, but they're stressed out. Then they haven't got the client processes down. They don't have a clear idea on who their ideal avatar is. They're not holding on to their profit and loss numbers. They don't know what cash flow is and what it looks like. AI has just basically amplified it. So AI it doesn't care whether you're doing well or not. A lot of people say AI gaslights. It does, because AI is programmed to predict what you need. Now, there's different layers of AI. Some AI can write for you, some can be creative, some can do analysis and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's a predictive model. The intelligent side of it and the artificial side of it is not human intelligence. It can't think outside the box right now, and it won't think for you. It won't know how you're feeling, what you're going through, and things like that. So the AI will basically enhance or amplify exactly where you are right now. So if you're in a bad position and you start to put an overlay of AI on top of that, it's not going to make a positive impact as well. Hiring more people creates more mental load. That's something I figured out quite early on and struggled to get out of as well. So I grew my team to 30 to 35 people. That just amplifies the mental load on you. I'm not managing 30 to 35 people, but I can tell you they occupied my headspace more than I wanted it to, because as the business owner, you're worried about it. At one point, my team costs were over 100K a month. So we're talking about an executive team, operations director, I had an agency manager, finance manager, sales and marketing director, and things like that. They're big, heavy salaries. And then you have the team below that. And the stress it creates is as you start to create $200,000, $300,000 a month in revenue, knowing that you have such a huge payroll, it creates a different stress. And that's something which I realize I don't actually want or need as well. And getting more clients takes away time you need to grow your business as well. So the question is, what's the correct order of growth, and how do you go ahead and implement it as well? At least with a job, you can blame your boss. I've blamed my boss multiple times and looked in the mirror and said, what the heck are you doing? So what's the correct order of growth? The threat level right now is high. This is why many agencies can feel successful and unsafe at the same time. And I've been through periods of this, even post 2019 as well. And the thing is, if you want to build a stability business first, you need to figure out what your goal is. My goal has always been time freedom above everything. I have kids with disabilities, I have hobbies, and I have my health to look after and things like that. They all come first for me, and then comes the business. But the business enables that as well. So it's a kind of catch-22 thing. Do I focus on my business to create my freedom, but then I need my freedom to be able to run my business successfully as well? And that's something that you need to be clear on for your own goals as well. Life is too short not to enjoy every single day. Wouldn't you agree? That's ultimately your goal. We don't exist on this planet to just work. We don't have to. For you guys that are on this workshop or watching the replay, wherever, you're ahead of so many people on this earth because you can use digital platforms to make money. Whether you do a low ticket offer, whether you serve clients, whether you do e-commerce or whatever it ends up being, we are so ahead of many people because we can create money literally out of nothing. We can go and run an ad and say, here's a $97 ebook, or here's a VSL, or here's a video, go and book a call. We can just literally generate money out of nothing, just having an idea. So we are already ahead, but at the same time, we need to use that in the right way and work towards what's important for us as well. So first of all, is this for you? So what I'm going to be describing is what I call the CALM framework. So if you're serving clients right now and you want better client results and you want to earn higher profit and you want flexible revenue streams and you want to reduce your time in the weeds and you want to know how to use AI in the right way, then this is for you. If it's a no for one or more of these, then perhaps enjoy the rest of your day and kind of move on. But if you are here for these things, then this is what I'm going to be hopefully tackling in the next, what we've got left, 30 minutes or so. So first of all, before I go into the detail, I just want to reiterate the reality check. Revenue is not control. So the more money you make is not you controlling your business. It's actually the more money you make, the more problems you need to solve. For example, let's say you're doing 20 or 30K a month, a new client lands and you're like, oh, new revenue, great. What about the offshoot? You need to now onboard the client, you need to get the client results, you need to retain them, keep them happy, keep the reporting going, as well as manage your existing clients, as well as any team members, as well as any lead gen and things like that. So more revenue does not mean that you've now got to a better place. It just introduces new challenges into your business that you have to solve. Growth is also not safety. When I started to grow to 20 to 30K and we started to hit a cap and we needed to hire, we quite quickly hired and then grew the revenues to 50K, but we had the same problems. It just became amplified. So now we need to hire again. Then as we start to hire, we have more capacity, we should probably get more clients. And you start to grow to 60 and 70 and 80K a month. And the same problems kept on reoccurring. And I felt like it was just Groundhog Day. It was like, okay, we're growing, but at what point do I actually start enjoying this? At what point do I feel less stressed out? And I realized that one of my mentors years ago said, stress is like a signal just as much as a message on your phone is an alert. So when I was starting to get really stressed out, it wasn't because I was failing. It wasn't because my business was bad or I'd made mistakes. Stress is a response to the environment. So my environment at the time was not great. I was getting quite stressed out and anxious and things like that. Part of going to sleep late is the anxiety of not completing your day properly. So I had to start to instill processes where I could actually shut down, because otherwise I'd be, I wouldn't say happy, but I'd be happy to run to work until 1, 2, 3 a.m. because I just needed to close issues. I needed to close these projects and things like that. But then when you're waking up at 7 a.m. with the kids and this becomes a routine over time, you're sacrificing your sleep. Therefore, you're sacrificing your health and your mental space. No amount of coffee and all that kind of stuff or sugar will fill the gaps there as well. And you could then end up in the false solution stack, which is more clients, more hires, more AI, more process, and more revenue will make things better. I can tell you it does not. Creating calm is inevitable if you're successful. But the problem is, will you survive that? Chaos brings uncertainty, anxiety, and stress. And I think different people go through this at different paces as well. Success finally does lead to calm. The only difference is how fast you get there and how much you burn out. And by probably some point in 2018, I was ready to quit the agency. I just did not enjoy what I was doing. It was stressful. It was too stressful. And sometimes you need to lose to learn. And I think that's what I found out as well. And I realized there was a report I saw, I can't remember where it was from, but it said like 70 to 80% of small businesses don't survive the first two years. I was pretty much in that space. I didn't feel like my agency would have survived if I didn't focus on what was important to me, because I still felt the time freedom, it was possible, the cash flow freedom was there. I just needed to realign things and repiece things together. So let me show you what that operating system looks like so that you can start to implement that for your business as well. Now, the first part of this is breaking out of the chaos loop. The chaos loop is where you get more clients and then you create more complexity for your business. So let's say you've got 3 or 4 clients right now. You bring in 2 or 3 new clients because you've got the capacity. What you're maybe not accounting for is each of those clients needs to be serviced, onboarded, supported, calls, reports, results. Don't forget the results. And then making sure that they're retained, because the better the results are and things like that, the longer they stay. One of the things I found out quite quickly, and it was obvious looking back, I became the bottleneck very quickly, especially with a small team, because when I had the team of 5 or 6 going into 2018, everyone was coming to me for a question. And what ended up happening was my day would mostly be spent just servicing my team. And then secondly, the clients, and then thirdly, the business, and then fourth, myself. And I became the bottleneck to everything, not because I was an authoritative figure and I was like, hey, you can only do things after you tell me. It's because naturally, and you'll find this as well, when you're the business leader, people will come to you just to check, is this thing okay? Are you okay with this? It's the same thing with kids and parents. If you've got kids, the kids will come to you and say, hey, mom, hey, dad, is this okay? They're checking in because you're that person of authority and they need the sign off. Same things happen with the team as well. And I found that I was becoming more and more of the bottleneck. And as the stress was increasing, I wasn't thinking through my answers to the questions. And it became a repeated loop that I was struggling to overcome as well. Some of you might recognize this. And part of the challenge is the chaos loop is real. You need to make sure that when you're bringing in those clients, when you're bringing in those hires or the AI automation and the software that you're working with, that you are clear about what impact every decision makes, especially if you are in that sub 100K range. You're going to be in a position where margin is everything. If you don't focus on anything else and you don't take anything else away from this workshop, the margin and the profit you make, that has to be one of the most important things you focus on. So one of the challenges I had is I brought in more clients and more team members and more software and things like that, was losing track of the profitability number as well. Because by the way, when we were, I'm just trying to think back to numbers. I think as we hit 200K a month, our profit was lower, and I'm talking about the profit left over after all expenses and stuff, than when we were making about 50K a month. So don't think that high revenue numbers are the way to go. When we were making 50K a month, I believe our profit per month was about 15K, maybe 20K. As we started to hit 200K a month, our profit was about 10 to 15K because we were so heavily into growth mode. And I had to consciously stop hiring and getting software and bringing in experts and freelancers and stuff like that in order to let the business breathe. So as we went from 200K to 300K a month, focus was on profitability. So now, okay, how do we actually make money out of this thing? Because I was chasing revenue. My goal was I wanted to get to $10 million a year in revenue. In order to hit that, we're talking about 7 to 800K of revenue per month. So that was my goal. Like, I have to get up there to get 10 million. In reality, and I took a step back in 2022, I realized that in order to be profitable and bring in the profit number that I wanted, And to sit there with 20 to 30K of profit left every single month, that was good enough for me. At the time, I didn't need to chase revenue. I needed to chase efficiency. And by chasing efficiency, it meant that I could be selective on the type of clients I brought in. I could use as much automation and AI as I needed, and I didn't need a big team. And this is why over the last few years, I personally have invested so much time and energy into AI. I'm honestly a true believer that AI is just like the most amazing thing right now, as much as the internet was 20, 30 years ago, but it has to be used in the right way. And if you care about profitability and time freedom, AI is a huge enabler of that. But you need to step back on what your business structure is and what your profit goal is. So we talk about profit numbers. You need to be clear on your goal for that as well. The second part of this is the busy growth trap. So what I talk about with this is as you start to grow, it could be from 10K to 20K, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 100, whatever it is, there are different breakage points. So for example, my first breakage point was having too many clients and not enough help. The second breakage point was having too many hires and not enough time to manage them. So for example, as we got to 5 and 6 people in the team and they're all reporting to me, I was like, hang on a second, I don't have time for this. I now need to hire someone to manage that team. I brought in a project manager / client manager who was managing the team and also the clients. That freed up so much time. Like I didn't realize how effective it would be. Now, all of a sudden, that team is all going to that person and that person is reporting to me. So I went from 5 or 6 reports down to 1 person, massive time freedom. So I can now put my headspace into business growth. But the thing is, I think sometimes as founders, we feel like being busy is a sign of progress, but it's not. I will tell you this right now. The less busy you are, the more successful you are when your business is in growth mode. So just hold on to that. If you're growing your business and you're working less, that is success. And they're not in opposition. It's not like the only way to grow my business is put more time in. It's not. The way to grow your business is smartly. So that's what I focus on. So it's the better order of tackling the challenges ahead, better leverage. So whether that's AI or people or clients or pricing or ascension ladders, which I'll show you shortly as well, and making fewer but more considered decisions on your growth as well. Most agencies that I've worked with fail because they scale the wrong part of the business in the wrong order. That's as simple as it is. And it's not that any of you don't know what you're doing. It's often that you're under so much pressure, you cannot make the right decisions. I can guarantee you this, and this happened for me as well. In 2020, I started to train agency owners and freelancers on my success. And I found that I can easily identify where they're going wrong and what they need to do, but it became harder for me to see it in my own business. And therefore, I also hired a coach in 2020 to be that external set of eyes on my own business. Because when you're running your own business, you'll know this as well. When you run your own ads, even though I think everyone on this call knows how to run ads, running it for clients is easy. You know how to create the avatar, the funnel, and things like that. When you're doing it for yourself, you overthink it and you start to challenge yourself and you become a blockage for yourself. And now all of a sudden, it's very hard to run your ads. I can crush any ads in any niche for any person on the planet, I think, as long as it's legal. Ask me to run my own ads, I just struggle. I start to block myself and things like that. And that becomes a huge challenge as well. So if you start to identify that you need to get external help, you'll move so much faster as well. And it's not that you don't know what to do, it's that you need to have that vision of what to do next. So if you go back to the snake and ladder analogy, how do you avoid the snakes and how do you identify the ladders faster? It's by someone who's already played the game. That's essentially it as well. So what is the Calm agency framework? Most agencies do these things just in the wrong order. So number 1 is clients. Obviously, we're in the services-based business. Clients is everything. It's our bread and butter. But how you bring those clients in, what type of clients you bring in, the pricing, the ascension, and everything around the clients, there's a step-by-step process and a definition as well, which I'll show you shortly. Second part is automations. We've been running automations probably since 2018, using Zapier, using Asana, Slack, and things like that. But now with AI, it's just 100x to all that as well. Then you talk about lifetime value. So the agency game, if you've got a core of your clients paying you on the regular every single month, and it's predictable, and you're servicing them and they're happy and things like that's a calm business. If you have clients that are leaving every few months and you needed to get new clients in and things like that's hard work. It's that will keep you in a state of stress for too long as well. And then the fourth part is margin. Now, margin isn't just profitability. Margin is the gap in everything you do. So if you have resources, if you have team members, what's their capacity and are you utilizing them properly? When you have clients paying you, how much of it is profit per client? So I'll give you an example. When we started to look at this in 2018, we realized that the team were over servicing their favorite clients and under servicing the clients they hated. I understand why that's done, but you cannot do that. If one client's paying you 3 or 5K a month and the other's paying 3 or 5K a month, they need the same level of service. Whether you like the client or not, that's you can't manage a client like that. But we noticed the team were doing that. How? Because we started to track team application on a client basis. So as you start to track, you can then start to analyze and make data-based decisions, and also start to identify the clients that are maybe not good for your business. Because by the way, that is also a signal. If your team are telling you we don't enjoy this client and you're forcing them to work with them, that's also not a good situation. That helps you to improve performance as well. So every agency problem you have fits into one of these 4 buckets, and only one of them should be worked on at a time as well. So as I mentioned, there are different parts of the Calm framework as well. Hopefully my writing on this pad is going to be legible. We start off with clients. So if we think about each of the Calm frameworks as a pillar, what do we mean by clients? Now, first of all, number 1 is ideal client profile, or you could call it customer profile. A lot of people will say, you don't need to define this when you start and figure things out. In 2017, when I started to bring in agency clients, we just literally said, if they can afford our fees and they're running ads and it looks legit, we're going to take them on. And very quickly, I had clients in mobile app installs, in lead gen, software, e-commerce, info products, literally everything. Here's the thing with this. So let's say, for example, if you have, and we went from that process of we're going to take on everyone to identifying our ideal customer profile. So let's just compare that. So if you take on everyone, what does that look like versus a single ICP? So when you take on everyone, and this ended up being part of our challenge, you need to create a process to serve them. So every time a new client comes in, there's a new process. So process is, how do we do app installs? And guess what? No one in the team knew how to do this except me. So every new client that came in, I had to define the process and write it down and things like that. How do you do lead gen? I had to go and define it, run the ad, set it up, write the process and do that. How do we do low ticket? How do we do e-com? Everything became reinventing the world as we went along. We then had another problem, which was, okay, let's take e-com, for example. Where are they at right now? They're at 0 revenue, or they're at 10K, or they're at 100K. There should be a 1 there. Now we have to create new processes, because if you're just getting started and we brought a client in, they're like, hey, we're going to launch an e-com site. We've got some money to invest in ads. We want you to run it. Great. We'd take the client on. This is the hardest client. When they've got 0, it doesn't matter what the niche is. When they're starting from 0, you need to put in a lot of work to find the offer, the funnel, the product market fit, and things like that. And we quickly realized these were the easiest clients. If they're making anywhere around 80 to 100K a month, they were so easy for us to run, because we didn't need to set up an e-com store. We didn't need to check that product feeds were working. We didn't need to go and check offer market fit or anything like that. It was literally come in, install our process, which for me was the BPM method, and literally just do the scaling. So scaling for us is testing, optimization, and finding opportunities to scale. So by 2018, we actually identified our single ICP, which then became our growth lever. So we found that e-commerce businesses that were in the 80 to 100K range specifically where the founder had launched the store and run their own ads, but then got to a point where they either didn't know what to do next, or they just didn't have the time to continue scaling it. That was our bread and butter. We wanted these to apply into the agency because that's what we became really good at. It's not to say we couldn't do any of these. We could absolutely do all of those, and we had the processes for them as well. But in terms of going out to market, in terms of building funnels, in terms of the sales script, in terms of onboarding and actually having a process for the team to actually deliver results, this became like, without this, we wouldn't have started to stabilize in 2019 and started to grow after that as well. So while a lot of people will tell you, don't start your agency just focusing on one profile, at some point you're going to have to identify that profile. You don't have to stick with that forever, because we then developed other profiles off the back of this as well. ICP number 2, we then identified businesses that were doing between $2 and $5 million a year, again in e-com, that didn't need an agency but needed consulting. Guess what? We could come in and apply all of this, but rather than do the work, we could just tell their team what to do. It became even easier, and we're getting paid more for it. Where a client might pay us $5,000 to $7,500 a month to run their ads plus revenue or ad spend percentage, all of a sudden these customers would pay the same, but we're doing less work. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it works. So a client might come in here, they're paying $7,500 a month plus % of profit from what we generated, but we're telling them what to do. But there's high value there for the prospect. I didn't need to run the ads. I didn't need the stress of all the hands-on stuff. We're literally just telling them what to do. So the ICP developed as we started to understand. So when I talk about clients as one of the core pillars, these are the facets of it. It's understanding who your ICP is, building the process is. For us, we called this, I'm into my acronyms, I'm sure you've discovered that. We called this FAM, Facebook Ads Management. We called this GAP, Growth Accelerator Program. Our ICP 3 became ASAP, Account Setup Accelerator Program. Fancy names to say, hey, we're going to run your ads, we're going to consult, we can build from scratch. FAM, for example, it started at $5,000 a month plus whatever we agreed. This started at $7,500 a month. And this was actually, we were pitching 25K projects. It wasn't a monthly fee or anything like that. It was a project cost. So for example, if someone came in and said, hey, we're launching an e-com store, we want to invest, we want you to set up the store, the product feeds, and run the ads and get it all operational and make money out of this thing, we'd come back and say, okay, that's 25K. It could take 3 months, could take 6 months. Here's the 3-month plan. This is how we plan to do it. There's no monthly cost. We can break up the fee. That's obviously fine. And we ended up doing like something like, I think 15K upfront and then 10 and 10 just to make it easy to sell. But now all of a sudden you can see we went from chaos to control, because guess what happens when you're doing an app install client, the pricing model is different to lead gen. So for example, on lead gen, what we realized is we can't, like, doing a % of ad spend didn't make sense because that lead gen wasn't scaling in the same way. Then you do a cost per lead kind of model. With app installs, again, it's not the installation that makes the money, it's the back end, it's the registration, it's the monetization. And it's very hard to pitch and to hire someone in to take over this. So by having definition on our ICP and the processes, it became easier to define our ideal clients and also to retain. When you think about one of the things for us, we measured net promoter score, satisfaction levels as well. The happier your clients are, the more likely they are to give you case studies. Case studies absolutely fueled our growth. So I think it was 2019, we launched our first case study, the 21X case study, absolutely blew up for us. And I tell this to so many people, that case study was built specifically for this avatar. So if you've seen the 21X case study or heard of it, that was very specifically structured for this business owner. And that then brought in leads into our business from that business owner. And that helped us to grow in 2019 and 2020 through case studies and things like that. So when you talk about the clients pillar, this alone has so many layers that you have to get right. And you have to be thinking about how you layer each of these into how you're prospecting and bringing your business forward as well. So that's layer number one, which is clients. Layer number two is then automation. Now, when I was working on this, I thought, do I rename this to AI now that we're so AI enabled over the last few years? For me, it's still automation, because automation is bigger than AI. Automation, it goes into kind of replacing human effort. So when we look at AI, it's the processing power. But when you enhance it with automations, then you're able to develop processes that don't require you as much and don't require hiring. So for example, number one, lead gen. If you aren't using automation and AI in lead gen, then you're missing out. So for example, last year I relaunched my website. It now has a chatbot. That chatbot, which I coded, vibe coded, now has the ability to read all of our offers, all of our ICPs, have a conversation, pre-qualify, put those into a pipeline, and then offer a call if it makes sense, or offer lead magnets or alternatives if it also makes sense. So when someone now lands on my website, we don't just present a contact us link. We ask them, do you want a free assessment? So based on where you are right now, if you're running ads, if you're looking to run ads, we can give you a free assessment. That's how we pitch it. But essentially it's lead gen. It's automated, it's AI driven, and the follow-ups and everything else is also included there as well. If you talk about sales as well. So for example, when I take a sales call, the transcription is passed to an AI, which reads it. It looks at the template of proposals that we have in the business for our different ICPs and our different products. It then creates a proposal where it takes me about 5 minutes of checking and editing that I can then just send out to a client. The close rate on that is super high. It doesn't take any time at all. Now, you could say, could AI take the sales calls? Well, that's entirely up to you. I still prefer the personal touch on sales calls, but the proposal takes no more than 5 minutes. It's sent out, and our close rate off the back of that is really good because the AI understands how we send proposals and what needs to be included. If you talk about onboarding, for example, when we onboard clients, from that sales document, once someone agrees to move forward, the whole process is automated. So sending an invoice, checking the invoice is paid, sending a contract, checking the contract is signed, putting that in a database, launching the client's project in Asana, creating the Slack channel, letting the team know that the client signed, and sending the email, welcome email, is all automated and done through a mix of AI and automation. Where, for example, that would be done by a client services person or a project manager. It's all done by AI and tech right now. So I don't need to worry about that. Then you talk about client results. If you are, and you're probably running ads for clients or doing consulting or whatever it is, I have my own app for this. The Ad Signals AI is what we use for clients. So yes, on the one side, I'm providing it for people to use on their own, but essentially I'm building it for myself. So when we run ads for clients, I can go into my own app and very quickly I have avatars built, angles, hooks, ad copy, campaign structures. What took us maybe 2-3 days of planning and thinking and prepping and launching, we can launch within 30 minutes, maybe an hour at most. So the process of getting started with a client, even doing the audit, even doing insights, it's all AI generated right now. That is an app that I built, but that's something which you should be thinking about for generating those results. Then you think about reports and insights and sharing things. It looks more like Robert should say reports. That again can be automated and using AI and insights and things like that. So one of the things that I've just developed over, I think maybe 4 weeks ago, is the ability for my AI to go into ad account data, to look at history and performance and tell me what to do next and create a report. I'm actually sending those to clients right now as well and sharing insights on a regular basis. Here's where your account's at. This is what's working. It's not. It makes me look good and it's at the level that I'd expect, but I'm not doing it. And the AI does it in 30 seconds, which would probably take me at least 10 minutes, especially because Ads Manager is a complete pain. I absolutely hate Ads Manager. I don't need to do that. The AI goes into the API, it gets all the data and it creates the insights exactly as I have defined it based on the BPM method. So automation as well, this is one of the most important pillars to get right, because with this, you can actually bring in clients without the stress and strain that maybe I had 3-4 years ago, where all of this was all done manually with some Zapier and things like that. But with AI, it does intelligent thinking with the right inputs as well. So we talk about clients as the first pillar, automation is the second. The third pillar is lifetime value. Now, why I put this as a separate pillar is one of our early clients that fell into this ICP niche, they were making about 40 to 50K a month in their e-com store. And we quickly doubled that. Like, talking about quickly is relative, but within 3-4 months, we doubled that. It was a high ticket furniture website. So the products were selling for $300 to $500. Not the easiest thing to sell online, but we figured it out. So we were doing 100, 110, 120K a month. Client was super happy. But guess what? They went from paying, I think, 5K a month to close to 10K a month because it was performance based. But they've doubled their revenue, and we've doubled our fees as well. And the client turned around after about month 4 and said, hey, we're going to take it in-house now, because we figured for 10K a month, we could probably hire a couple of media buyers and do it ourselves. You've probably heard this story before. It didn't work out, but that's what the client decided. And we're annoyed and upset and felt a bit distraught because it was one of our early client successes as well. And it was a decent chunk of revenue. But it happened the second time. But this time, what I decided to do is I said, let's go with the flow here. Let's actually offer the client assistance to bring this in-house. So when the client said, hey, you're going to bring this in-house, we went back to them. I think maybe it was the third or fourth client, I can't remember. And I said, what if I help you set that up? And I defined basically what essentially became the Gap product. So all we had initially was Facebook ads management. But then from adversity came our consulting product. And I said to them, what if we consult on your handoff, building your team? And I explained how difficult it was for us to hire the right people, set up the processes, make sure the performance was there. I said, it could take 2 or 3 months, but we can help you do that. We totally understand you don't need us to run ads. We'll be there for 2-3 months. We'll help set everything up. We can look at hires, help with the job descriptions and things like that. All of a sudden, we spawned a new product from that as well. And why I say lifetime value is important is because, for example, if all we had was FAM, then that client's lifetime value, I don't know, 30K, give or take. But by adding 3 more months of a 7.5K product, we've now enhanced that to closer to 50K, for example. Then we started to look at this and say, are there clients that would go straight into this Gap program? Then we started to look at that and say, how do we actually get more prospects into here? Then we started to look at low ticket. That should be an I. Then we started to look at low ticket. So very quickly, what I call the ascension path model is what we developed to create predictable lead flow and income into the business. Now, one of the earliest examples of this was I launched a product called the CBO Cookbook in 2019. It was initially it was a $97 product. I think we might have sold it at $297 as well. Initially, the goal was to get people from there into our 2K ads program. I think at the time, BPM method. And then from there, we just didn't really think about anything else. But something happened. After about 2 or 3 months, people were actually inquiring for our agency services, SMC. And we realized that people were then coming into services paying 5 to 10K a month. Now, all of a sudden, the lifetime value went from, let's say, 97, average order value on that cart was about 120, then maybe 2K lifetime value, to people going up to 50 to 100K lifetime value, all because we had a front-end offer which helped them to get results themselves. They then realized it's so good, but what if the people that wrote that training run the ads for me? And we had some extreme examples. There was one guy that purchased this ahead of Christmas, did amazing in Q4, made an extra $1 million, and it just makes sense for me to give some of that to you. And I realized we're not asking them to pay this out of pocket. We're asking them to pay out of profit. That was a huge realization for me, that if we can reach people and build the know, like, trust here, if we've convinced them that the framework is good and it works for them, we become the choice of one. They're not going out and pitching and saying, hey, we'd love for you to run our ads. We're looking at 2 or 3 other agencies. Absolutely not. They're literally saying, can you please run our ads? We know you're good. We know the process is good. And therefore, there is no price friction. They're not pushing back necessarily on, oh, it's too expensive. They know the value. So literally, they're selling themselves to us as well. So this became a big part of how we actually grew our agency. It wasn't just a case of, let's get more 5K clients in. If we get 10, we make 50K. If we get 20, we make whatever. It was, let's expand on lifetime value. What does that actually mean for prospects? And even to this day, I have a full list of all of our customers, all their lifetime values, and we can see the paths. We can see the people that have ascended. I had someone who actually bought the cookbook at $97 back in 2020. I didn't know she existed in my database. Turns out she was quite engaged with emails and stuff when we looked at the analysis, has become one of my highest lifetime value customers. I think it was about 4 years later. So the lead nurture and time between that, it took time. Some people nurture quickly. Some people go within like weeks. Some people take months. Some people take years. But that nurturing pays off. And it is so important to make sure that you're allowing people to interact with you at these different levels as well. Does that make sense? Is that so? Eve Habits, super ebook. Yeah, appreciate it. I think that was a big part. I think realizing that people started to understand ads a lot better as well. I appreciate we are slightly over, so I think if you do need to leave, that's fine. The replay will be sent hopefully within about 3-4 hours. So that's automation, that's lifetime value. The last part of the Calm framework is margin. Now, the reason I call it margin is because everything is on margin. So when you look at revenue, you look at profit. When you look at your team, you look at percent utilization. When you look at AI, you look at how much time or percent of time it's saving. So everything is margin driven. When I didn't have this in place, a lot of the decision I was making was on gut feel. What do I feel about this hire? What do I feel? Do we need more people? As you start to put data together and start to, especially now, use AI to interpret that data, it becomes so much easier to make the right decision. So we're layering all of this on top and saying, okay, we know the clients we need to bring in. We have the automations in place. We have the funnels built out for multiple levels of lifetime value. And we understand how that relates to growth. So growth for me, margin for me in particular, is not just monetary, it's also time as well. So I'm measuring that for myself as well, because I don't want to commit more time the more clients I bring in. One of the things that one of my operations directors brought in 2020 or 2021 was to tell me to take 1 day away from the business. So at that point, I was still 5 days a week working on the business. And she goes, if you're going to grow the business, you need 1 day to yourself to think about business growth. It started off as a Thursday. So every Thursday, I wasn't involved with agency clients, anything to do with the agency. That's when I started to spend more time on what else could we do? What if we run events? What could the training become? What about coaching? What about apps and things like that? That now has become every Thursday, Friday is time away from clients. And that's enabled me to open up new revenue opportunities. So I have a paid ad community. I have a paid app. I have other partnerships and ventures I'm working on. They're my Thursday, Friday projects. Monday to Wednesday, clients and working on agency and things like that. But that's my margin. My time margin is Thursday, Friday away from the agency, and that's protected. If I have too many clients and it requires me to put more time, I can say no, because I understand my boundaries. So that's really what we're looking at in terms of the Calm framework, is making sure we're piecing these together. And every agency I've audited is suffering on one or more of these levels as well. So for you, as you're reading through this as well, you'll be thinking about where you're struggling and where your needs are as well. And that's what you need to focus on. Where do I start and what's going to make the biggest impact? Now, if, for example, you're in this space of, I want to use AI, but you haven't fixed up the client's lifetime value and margin, AI could actually cause more stress. If you have some automations and you want to get more, and that's the focus, that's fine, because this actually frees up a lot more time. This actually works both on time plus money. This one is on money, and this is time plus money. So as you're planning this through on where you need to focus, this should enable you to figure out where your priorities are as well. Does that make sense? Does that framework resonate with you? Because this took me probably over the last 12 months of trying to figure out what is the right process to enable you to follow, and also what my success has been as well. Cool. So here's a self-diagnosis for you to actually put yourself on the scale. And by the way, like I mentioned before, I will share this in a write-up as well afterwards, so you have the framework as well. But right now, what I'd recommend you do is mentally score this. Are you happy with your working day? So if you think about your day in the life of for yourself, rate that as a 1 to 10. In 2017, 2018, I would have rated that as a 2 or 3 for myself. Right now, I'm probably at the 8 or 9 mark. Are clients' results stable? 2017, my results were not stable. 2018, they started to get better. Right now, I'm at a high score because we're in control of all that. But score yourself on that as well. Third one, can you comfortably take off 1 day in the week? 2 days, 3 days? Score that up 10 as well. And then, are you financially stable? So that means that if clients went, if you had no income for the next 3 months, things like that, that you wouldn't worry or panic. Fact is, if you score below 7 or below on 2 or more of these, then you're in need of an improvement in your operating system. So we talk about the Calm framework. Each of those pillars will relate to where you're feeling the stress right now. Let me just check. Working less with higher ticket clients. Yeah, for sure. And by the way, since I've been teaching this for the longest time, the impact for some people is literally weeks. For other people, it's months. For other people, it takes longer as well. It depends on how fast you're moving. So I'm going to share the example of Fabian here. So I met Fabian in Las Vegas at an event I spoke at in 2019. And I talked about some of our case studies and results and things like that. And he said, look, I'm in Costa Rica and our income levels are not great. I just don't have confidence. He goes, I can run ads, but I just don't have confidence I can do it for clients and I can become an agency owner and things like that. We actually worked together for 3 months, and it was only 3 months. By, I think, month 4, month 5, he messaged me and said his agency is making 120K a month. That for me was amazing, not just because of the number, but because of where he came from, where he was living, and the self-doubt he had. One of the amazing, and we've become really good friends now as well. One of the amazing things about Fabian is he's taken that and he's teaching people in Puerto Rico how to run ads, how to start an agency, how to do freelancing. And he goes, we're bringing people out of poverty. That impact is just amazing. This is someone who was out there seeking help, took the opportunity to actually take that help and not only changed his own life, but changed the life of people around him as well. And those kind of stories are just fuel for the fire for me as well. So the question for you, are you ready to break free from your business too? So part of the new program that I'm launching right now is to take 5 people on and to work hands-on with you to install the Calm framework. It's a 90-day Calm transformation, but it's me working directly with you. It's not go watch these videos and turn up to these calls. It's me actually assessing and pushing you and supporting you and building with you as well. What your Calm transformation could look like in 90 days. The first 30 days, and this is a process I've been using for years as well, the focus is on you. It's the focus on how you're feeling, what you're thinking, what your time freedom is, what your money freedom is, and actually mapping out what you need to do in the short term to enable you to work on your business and escape being in your business. So whether that's working on the client's pillar, the automation, the lifetime value, or the margin first, and then stacking that up and having a clear path of what comes next. By month 2, we're working on each of the other parts of the pillars: clients, operations, delivery, and repeatable success. And then by month 3, we're building the growth levers to build your own Calm growth into 2026 as well. Calm will impact your clients too. So this guy here, Gadir, he started working with our agency, I think late 2020. And by 21, we'd help him to get his first 6-figure revenue. He actually upgraded his services after that. So initially, we were running his ads for him. He then wanted us to consult on the growth. He wanted us to help him sell his business. And in fact, I think 12 months on from that, I think in late 21 or 22, he did actually sell his business. So he actually came in as someone who was just drop shipping and figuring things out in 2019. By 2020, we'd helped him to grow into a 7-figure business. By 21, 22, he sold his business for a couple of $1 million. That for him was life-changing. He actually, I think he moved to Dubai or something like that in the end, or he just changed his whole lifestyle off the back of it. But we wouldn't have been able to do this if our own agency wasn't in a calm place. So when I talk about the impact on you of building your own calm framework, the impact will cascade onto your clients as well. That's almost a guarantee as well. So what's included in the program? So you will get weekly group coaching calls. We'll give you all our frameworks and SOPs, plus a 90-day transformation guarantee that if we haven't achieved the goals that we set out when we first start working with you, we will continue working with you until we hit those goals. And as a thank you for joining for this cohort, I'm also throwing in 6 one-to-one calls. So this program generally doesn't come with my specific time working with you, but I'm offering it to you because we're now trying to get more people onto the calm way of running the business and to get more AI and automation installed into your business, exactly as we've done as well. And I've showed you the calm framework and all the facets that we put in. It took us many years to get that into place. So to get all of the calm layers, can you do all of them in 90 days? Honestly, it depends on how fast you move and how prepared you are to make tough decisions, whether that's getting rid of the wrong clients, getting rid of bad hires, installing the automations and AI fast, building your pipelines and things like that. You control the pace. But with a one-to-one calls, I'm going to be pushing you and I'll be building with you on those calls as well. So for example, if there's an AI or automation, I'll build that with you on the call. Like for me, it's just bread and butter and I can do that pretty fast. This is the fastest way I can help you. So giving you access to our program, which is called Elite, but also working with you one-to-one as well is the fastest way I can help you to grow. So who's this for? If you have clients already in the 10 to 100K a month range, you want more time back and you want a stable business and you want to use AI in the right way and you want to skip the chaos, you want to jump over those snakes and aim for those ladders, then this is absolutely for you right now. This is not for someone who doesn't want to invest in themselves, that doesn't feel like investing in your own growth is the right thing to do. Someone that doesn't value one-to-one help, someone that doesn't want to be shown the gaps and doesn't want to be accountable for the problems in their business. Because I have a knack for identifying very fast what you shouldn't be doing and what you should be doing. And my feedback is direct. I'll tell you what you should be doing and I'll drive you to moving towards your goals. Some people, they fear accountability. And if that's the case for you, you have to be willing to work and make those changes for this program. So apply to install Calm in your agency, join.bpmmethod.com. I'm going to type that into the chat here. So this is an application only process, but application doesn't mean you have to make a commitment as well. So what I would encourage you to do is if anything here resonated, go ahead and book that call. What I will do on the call is to offer you the Calm Index score. So for each of the 4 pillars, we will go and index where you are right now, how much you need to do for each of those pillars, looking at your goal over the next 90 days and throughout the rest of the year. And I will tell you whether I can help you or not. So the way I run these programs is like how my agency operates right now. I want to work with the right clients. The right clients for me are the ones that I feel confident getting results for and that I feel confident are going to work in this program and get the results they need as well. It is limited capacity. I can only take 5 more people into my diary right now, and we'll open up intake at some other point as well. But because of the one-to-one aspect, I can't take on more than 5 people. So head over to that link, get your call booked in. There's no obligation. There's no commitment by making the call, and I'm not going to do any hard sales. My life doesn't change if you join the program, but I'm pretty confident your life will. So what happens on the call? As I said, we map out where your business is on the Calm Index. If I believe we can help and if you're a fit, you're in and we can get started and you can book your Calm setup call and away we go. So on the setup call, we will spend time looking at your business. I'm going to go deeper into those 4 pillars, and I'm going to work with you on exactly what the next 90 days looks like. So once you join the program, we're going to map out the first 90 days. So we both have a clear plan, and we'll get those calls booked in so that we're able to continue to make forward progress throughout the program as well. So what will you actually get? Calm is built around your individual business needs. So the reason I put a one-to-one element into this as well is because I want to massively personalize this for you right now. Is this a scalable thing for me? No, I can't take 20, 30, 40 people on a one-to-one basis. But right now I can take 5. And that's what I want right now, is to work with 5 of you to build your ICPs, your identifying where those ICPs are, funnels, offers, nurture, and close, using automation throughout the entire process and enhancing with AI where it makes sense. And by the way, this time 12 months ago, I was heavily using Zapier, and Zapier was doing a ton of my automations, and we were putting AI in. Got very expensive very fast, and we were paying $500-$600 just for Zapier at the time. Since then, I've replaced that with my own apps. And this is what I will help you create as well, to create your own app that you own, that 100% works for your business, that will do the automations, the AI and stuff like that. My app costs me about probably $100 a month right now. Most of that is just storage and server. Some of that is AI. The app handles lead gen, lead nurture, the sales pipeline, which it integrates with Calendly. It's also doing email nurture, email campaigns, CRM, lifetime value analysis. I have my own AI built into that, which can query all of that data. So if anyone has been keeping up with AI, there's a concept of MCP, multi-context protocol, which I built for my agency, which I'll build for yours as well, which will look at your data, which you own inside your own app, and tell you exactly what's going on. So now I have an app which will tell me who my top prospects are, who I should maybe do some one-to-one outreach with, who I should segment and target and things like that. I'll also help you with your product roadmap for multiple income streaming and ascension paths, exactly as I've showed you here as well. And business growth through analytical insights and data-backed decision-making. So that's the margin aspect as well. So go ahead, join.bpmmethod.com/elite, book that call, and we'll get into where you are on the Calm index and how we can actually move forward for you. And if it makes sense, one of the questions is now the right time? Chaos is probably already costing you. It's costing you time, opportunity, and freedom. Opportunity for me, for example, in 2022, when ChatGPT really took off, I wouldn't have been able to jump onto it so quickly if I was still stuck in my agency. I would not have been able to launch an ads community, an AI app, and many other things and partnerships, which have been pretty amazing as well, without the time and cash flow freedom. So the question for you is, if not now, then when's the best time for you to fast track your Calm business? Book the call and we'll discuss that. And we'll see if now is the right time for you to actually start to install these things, because the only path forward for success is creating a Calm agency. And what that looks like for you is going to be tailored and personalized for you as well. I'll give you an example of Faris. When he joined, he was running ads for his e-com business and he wanted to do an agency. And within 12 months, not only did he have a 7-figure agency, he was also running a training program for other people in the French-speaking market, running his own masterminds, and he actually started to run ads on Snapchat and became France's top media buyer on Snapchat as well. So when you're in a calm place, you can look at these growth. When he started to come in, he was stressed, he was anxious, he was worried about money. And you look at the transformation that is caused just by actually focus on you, on what you need. It's pretty amazing. And Calm is not just about working less. It's about building something beyond just what you're doing that actually lasts. It's about stopping the guesswork and identifying where you are in the process and where you need to be as well. Calm creates results. So when Justin joined the program, he was struggling not with getting clients or onboarding, but actually just getting results. And for him, the Calm part of it was actually, how do I get consistent results for my clients? How do I build process? How do I make sure that whether it's me or my team running the ads, we're equally getting great results as well? Also, Luca, for example, he wanted to grow his team and offload some of the work to other people by actually getting better client results and creating better processes. his hiring became a lot less stressful as well, because he's just plugging people into something that's already there. Calm is built specifically for agencies and freelancers. So getting the right clients builds a happy business. Building the right automations creates profit and performance opportunity. Lifetime value de-risks having one income stream and just worrying about one thing. So for example, when we grew to 300K in our agency revenue, 200K of that was through agency, 100K was through low ticket offers, training programs, events, and things like that. Even if the agency failed, I'd still have 100K a month. And by the way, that 100K a month margin was about 80%. So 80% of that was profit, 20% was on ads and running the platforms and things like that. Whereas with the agency, about 20%, maybe 10% was profit, and the rest of it was just heavy resource cost. You start to realize, actually, I can play around with this and create a better revenue stream and growth opportunity for me as well. So what about the chaos? Chaos keeps you up at night. Chaos stops you from fulfilling your potential. It eats away at your growth. It builds doubt, and it is honestly contagious, because the more chaos you're feeling, the more your team will feel, the more your clients will feel, and it just gets worse and worse. I'm telling you this from experience, that the faster you get out from this, the better or at least the faster you're going to get to your goals as well. Without the time and money freedom, you can't jump onto the next shiny object. For me, AI at the time was shiny object in 22. Like everyone else, I just use it for ad copy and things like that. But from that, I've developed so many apps and revenue opportunities and partnerships. Without the free time, I wouldn't have been able to. But as much as chaos is contagious, calm is also contagious too. These are a couple of client reviews, and the calmer you are in the business, the more controlled you are in delivering results, the better the results for the clients, the better the case studies, the higher the lifetime value. Like, everything cascades to benefit off the back of you and your business being calm, because you want to become your prospect's number one choice. Calm creates control. When we stopped taking on every single client, and when we started to charge our worth, we started to be selective about who we brought in, we were able to control things. We created better decisions from it. And the clients, I think, appreciate them. They knew that they were working with a business, for example, that didn't have 30, 40, 50 clients. We generally start to cap out at 10 to 15 clients. But when those 10 to 15 clients are paying you anywhere between 7.5K and 15 or 20K a month, then growth is absolutely manageable, and profitability is easier to focus on, and you don't need a large team or a complex business as well. So join the calm revolution through our elite program. People like Pavel, for example. So Pavel initially was struggling to get results with ads, and it became a confidence problem with him to bring in more clients. As soon as he started to get better results with his ads, he was able to better talk to prospects on the calls as well and convince them that you could help them. Alex, for example, same problem. He was struggling to get his clients results in order to bring in more clients, but he actually started to not only get more clients in, but change his cost model from a flat agency fee to fee plus a % of revenue or ad spend, and therefore make more money from and with his clients as well. Rachel, when she joined the program, she was a freelancer moving into boutique agency space, but she was struggling on two parts. One was getting consistent results for clients, and also, what does it mean to hire? What does it mean to run an agency? What are the processes that she needs to look after and look out for, and things like that? Within 90 days, she tripled her client base and her revenue, and improved her free time as well. And that's the transformation that I'm offering you for you today as well. Take Raphael. By setting up the processes, it enabled him to actually offload client management to his team so that he could focus more on marketing, social media updates, and actually doing more testing to grow leads for his agency as well. Or Amy, what she actually ended up doing was to build the processes from start to finish. So lead gen, onboarding, client management, client retention, and then to use that as a flywheel for further growth as well. And same for Josh, able to get revenue up for clients, bring more clients in, more confidence, more case studies, and be able to use that as a stepping stone for growth as well. So let's make 2026 your year of calm. Let's map out your calm index. If I believe we can help, we'll get you in. And that very first calm setup call that we do, that will be your 90-day plan. And after that, we'll be executing on that every few weeks in a one-to-one call. You'll have access to me in a private community as well. We'll give you access to SOPs and things like that. Head over to join.bpmmethod.com/elite. And let's go and see where you are and assess and make sure that you're in the best position for growth in 2026.